What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Sports Talk on Tap podcast. We're here. You can find daily videos Monday through Friday covering all the four major sports leagues, whether that be NHL, NFL, NBA, or MLB, whether it be news, games, highlights, all that fun stuff. We're here to talk about it. And in today's episode, we decided, for the NFL season, we're in a kind of a quiet zone. So why not predict, look back, whenever the season ends in like January, regular season, and, see how accurate we were with these predictions. These are going to be our early season award predictions, that include MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year awards, Comeback Player of the Year, and Coach of the Year. And Nick, it's only fair. We start off with the most prized award, the MVP.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, the quarterback award, best quarterback. Even though people don't like saying it. Shout out Adrian Peterson, the last non-quarterback to win it, but that was 11 years ago. So it's been a while. But with that being said, Nick, who's going to be your MVP this season? Early season, summer predictions?
I have a feeling that you and I are going to share the same one on this one, so I won't, draw it out. I have Patrick Mahomes winning MVP. I think he's just going to come back and, have another Patrick Mahomes-like year, and I don't think other quarterbacks around the league, really are going to be able to live up to his level. I know Lamar had an insane year last year, but we both talked about how he struggles, after an MVP year, and can he stay healthy the full year?
Health is a big question with him. Yeah.
So, and Josh Allen, lost his number one target, so I feel like he's going to have a drop-off in numbers. Yeah. Aaron Rodgers was another, MVP candidate a few years ago, won back-to-backs, but he's, I don't see anyone with the Jets. And I don't really see, much competition. Maybe Patrick Mahomes' biggest competition in the MVP talks might be Christian McCaffrey, if McCaffrey stays healthy this year. That's the way I see it.
Okay. Patrick Mahomes is obviously a great choice, two-time MVP winner. The thing with, me, and I look at this, is people don't like voting the same guy. And Mahomes is kind of, not the Cinderella at all, just, the top dog. And, people want to mix it up. So I feel like he might have the best season. But, we saw his numbers last year weren't the best. They weren't MVP numbers, which is fine because in the playoffs, it came around and his target showed up. But I'm going a different way with this one. I'm going with Joe Burrow.
Ooh, okay. I don't mind that at all.
The quarterback, he didn't mention, but I feel like Joe Burrow is out to prove something after getting injured last year. Maybe he's in Comeback Player of the Year awards, but I just feel like he's going to put up the numbers he has with Jamar Chase. T. Higgins is there for now, and he can just make do with whatever he's got in this team. I think he's going to have a great year. We've talked about how good we both think the Bengals are going to be a top seed. In order to do that, Joe Burrow is going to have to be electric, and I think he'll be able to do it. I think he's going to put up a lot of passing yards, a lot of passing touchdowns, and if he can just cut down the interceptions and, these games that they have 2 to 3 games a year where they just put up 3 points or less, mainly in September. If he can get over those struggles, he plays like an MVP the rest of the way. So it's just going to come down to that. And I'm really hoping, he stays healthy because this is I don't want to say it like this, but it really is a make or break year for Joe Burrow. If he gets injured again or kind of underperforms, is he really the guy? I begin to have question marks. But I'm high on him this time. I'm riding with him, and I'm going to ride with him just to it's going to be him or Mahomes. I think Mahomes is probably could win it, but he doesn't have the best wide receiver weapons. They did add, so that may just boost him up some more. But it's also Kansas City won a lot of their games last year on their defense as well. So it's going to be they don't mind winning ugly, and that's the beauty of Kansas City. They win in different ways. That's why Patrick Mahomes is so great. He may not look good for stretches, and then he heats up and just delivers the most important balls. And that really is an MVP. But the MVP awards based on numbers, electric. The storyline. Lamar coming back. Playing this great. It's going to be interesting, but I'm just going to ride with Joe Burrow. I'm going to go a different route.
Okay. The one thing that worries me is Joe Burrow's consistency, and by consistency, I really mean just will he start off, the way he started last
that's
year, or will
cool.
he actually come out looking like a quarterback?
Or even last 2 years. Last 2 years, September's been ugly, but he's been able to bounce back. Obviously, this last year, though, injury, which, but the Bengals were still like, they recovered from that, like that 1-3 start to go to 6-4. So they were
Right.
quickly, emerging again. But it's just, and he lit up the 49ers last year. I remember in a game, like 4 touchdowns, no picks. That's the Joe Burrow I know. But there is that Joe Burrow that, week 1 puts up goose egg points or 4 interceptions against the Steelers 2 years ago. Although I did pick the Steelers to win that game just because I had a feeling. But, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, Joe Burrow, if he does want to be taken really seriously as the top dog, you can't shut the bed for a full month.
Right. He's got to get it started against the Patriots. So if the Patriots can shut him
that's
down,
the defense where that's one of those defenses like the Steelers that just gives you fits and may annoy you, but it's also a team like Patriots aren't going to be that good. Let's go out there and put 40 on them.
Right. If the Bengals can put up 25 points in week 1, they'll probably win the game.
Yeah.
So it all depends on how he plays.
Yeah. Then next war award, Nick, Offensive Player of the Year.
Do you want to go or do you want me to go?
I'll let you go. We'll just
Okay. So I had a bit of a outlier. It's definitely a player with a lot of potential to get this award. I have Bijan Robinson having a breakout year and putting up Offensive Player of the Year. I think him with Kirk now, new coaching that's actually going to use him and not, put him in for 1 snap and then put him on the bench.
Mm-hmm.
I really like him in Atlanta. Like, he has talent around him, so it's not like he's the main focus point for a defense. And I think he's going to go off with that team.
I think that's a great pick. I think Bijan obviously is going to be used a lot more in the running game, and we saw his average was over 4 yards a carry. He's really good. And I think Kirk will be there. Kirk likes his checkdowns. Kirk will be able to get to him, and he'll just be able to make do of what he can. He can spin move out. He's going to get a lot of receptions. I think he's a sleeper guy. I want to take like round 1 in fantasy, like high, just of all his potential. I think he's going to be a lot better than even last year. And last year he was pretty damn good. So I obviously, I do love that pick. I went to a former Offensive Player of the Year that definitely may have some bias behind it. I'm going with the Jets, Justin Jefferson. Wouldn't be me. Wouldn't be a Vikings fan if I didn't pick him. But I also, if I didn't really believe it, I wouldn't have put it. But when Jefferson's on the field, he's almost a 2,000-yard receiver. He's around 1,800, 1,600 plus. And I think for better or for worse, Sam Darnold is what I like to call a gunslinger. He's going to take chances. He's going to throw it to Jefferson a lot. And I think he's just going to get a lot of receptions and a lot of yards and maybe even some more touchdowns. Will that come with some more picks from Sam Darnold? Probably. But I think he'll just be slinging the ball to Jefferson because, Sam Darnold signed a 1-year deal, make it or prove it, and he wants to make it. And I think the only way you do that is by getting your best receiver the ball, and I don't think he'll shy away from that. I think Kirk Cousins was kind of meticulous in the way he approached it. You'd see Jefferson pop up for like a half or something, get over 100 yards, then kind of disappear the second half. Maybe that's scheme, maybe it's the defense, but for better or for worse, I think Sam Darnold is still going to try and fit it in. May lead to, like I said, more interceptions, more turnovers, but it's going to also lead to some catches because when you give a 50-50 chance to Jefferson, it's more like a 70-30, 75-25 where he can come down with it. So I think he might be someone that could sniff close to 2,000 yards this year. And if he did that, I mean, even if the Vikings only finish like 7-8 wins, or if they somehow pop up and get one of the last wildcard spots, I'd still, think around 2,000 yards would probably be enough to secure his second Offensive Player of the Year.
That could be the safest pick and, out of the whole league, aside from quarterbacks. But usually if a quarterback's winning Offensive Player of the Year, they're probably just going to get the MVP instead.
Yeah.
That's probably the safest pick you can make besides Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah. Christian McCaffrey is also another one. I just have concerns with his injury history. I feel like I'm doomed for like a step back in like games played or something just because last year was so great. There's no way he can repeat it. But maybe he can. I don't know.
All right, now going into Defensive Player of the Year. My list My list is
Mine's a very boring pick here.
What's up?
Mine's a very boring pick here.
So is mine. I have TJ Watt winning.
I have Myles Garrett.
So, I mean,
two of the best, just pure
they're
gangs.
boring for a reason because they're the best in the game. Like,
yeah, I mean,
we're not going to just pick somebody because we want them to win.
It's almost like flipping a coin on that one, but until proven otherwise, we've seen great stuff, from Jerome Bland last year, setting the league in pick sixes, didn't even come close to winning the award. So I don't think a cornerback's getting it, obviously not a safety. If there was a linebacker, I think Roquan's a dog, just like a pure, not like, rushing the passer consistently like a TJ Watt. And then, obviously Aaron Donald retiring. It's Myles Garrett or TJ Watt's award, basically. I don't think that one needs much more explanation.
So now I want you to tell me your offensive player or offensive rookie of the year. Sorry.
We talked about them yesterday, and I'm still not sold on him, but I think it's just make do, similar to the MVP. I know it just reminds me of the offensive rookie of the year, unless you have a Jamar Chase type season. I don't really see a wide receiver from this class winning it, especially Malik Neighbors playing with Daniel Jones. This might be boring, but I'm going to go with Caleb Williams. I think he has the right necessities to succeed. He's got weapons for days around him. He's got improving and upcoming defense. I think it's made for him to have a good season, even if it's not, a historic season like some are making out to be. I think it'll be good enough. And if the Bears win 9-10 games, just the hype around that alone, I think will be enough. And I just think, someone like Jaden Daniels, I don't think will be able to succeed in Washington his first year at least. He won't be able to put up the numbers in winning, let alone Drake May's probably going to sit. When I was looking at other quarterbacks, McCarthy's going to be sitting. So I just looking, it's definitely a wide receiver stacked with Malik Neighbors. I just couldn't find a way. And then obviously if Roma Dunze is doing good, that means Caleb Williams is probably doing good with him. So it was just kind of, the first one that came to mind. If, everyone was healthy, I might go, or if everyone was playing, I might go bias and go JJ because similar to Caleb, all the weapons to succeed. But I mean, right now, Caleb, he's got the talent, he's got the team. Might be boring, but
okay,
got around with it.
Yeah, I was stuck between two players, but ultimately, I did rock with Caleb Williams. The only other player I was thinking of was Marvin Harrison, and just
that is
him with Kyler Murray. I feel like they could click, and it's much easier, I think, for a receiver to succeed in his first year than a quarterback, just because there's so much more to being a quarterback and the mental game and everything. But I do think you're right. Like, I think the bar is not that high for Caleb Williams to win Rookie of the Year. Like, I think as long as the NFL sees
exactly.
success with the Bears, they're going to give it to him.
He's already had a huge lead.
I almost think the NFL wants him to win it.
Yeah, exactly. Next award, Defensive Rookie of the Year. I don't really think this is a homer pick. I think he was the best edge rusher coming into this class. He was the third defensive player taken off the board. I'm going Dallas Turner of the Minnesota Vikings. Was a stud at Alabama. But one of the main reasons why I love this is Brian Flores is going to be the defensive coordinator. And as a Patriots fan, you know how good of a defensive coordinator Brian Flores is. And for me, I just think Brian Flores is going to use him in all different kinds of ways, in the pass rush game to get after the QB. I think even in some coverage just because of the athleticism. I think he's just going to be a freak of nature problem. And obviously that could come back to bust. Maybe he sucks. But, I mean, going into the season, I'm high on him. I think Brian Flores knows how to scout talent on the defensive end. And I think he's just going to make him one of these chess pieces on a much improved Vikings defense from 2 years ago. Last year, they jumped all the way from last to 15th. I'm expecting with Dallas Turner, they can take that leap to near the top 10.
I also have Dallas Turner. I thought he was one of the biggest, if not the biggest steal of the first round when they were able to I believe they traded down to get him, or did they trade?
They traded up to get him.
They traded up for McCarthy, but yeah, I mean, they were able to
trade up for both, yeah.
But yeah, either way, I was shocked that he dropped all the way down.
A lot of people had the Falcons taking him early as 8. And, when Brian Flores smelled it, the team went up and grabbed him. So I'm excited though to see those two work together, and I think just going to be similar. And he's got some talent to work with. Jonathan Grenard coming over from the Texans, 12 and a half sacks. So not all the pressure is going to be on Dallas Turner, where teams like, all right, we got to focus on this guy. You got to worry about everyone. Van Ginkel. So it's going to be, and Brian Flores loves his blitzing, so maybe he gets one or two just free sacks just because someone misses a block or something. So I'm excited to see that. But so far, we've been really close. On defensive player of the year, we basically either had Myles Garrett, TJ Watt. Offensive rookie of the year, same. Defensive rookie of the year, same. MVP, Patrick Mahomes was my second, and then coach of the year and comeback player of the year. The last two, we'll do comeback player of the year. I had Nick Chubb, mainly because I think he's just such a pure runner, and until I see the regression in my head or on the field, I gotta believe it. And just being still behind a great Browns offensive line, and with Deshaun Watson, they need to run the ball a lot just because he sucks. So I think Cleveland, and I think Nick Chubb is still gonna be a dog.
That's a great pick. I didn't have him, but if he has anywhere even close to a Nick Chubb year, he'll probably be the runaway comeback player of the year. I had Kirk Cousins coming off, the torn Achilles, and just going into a new situation. He's going to be in a dome. I mean, I know he's in a dome in Minnesota, but I don't know. Maybe it's different in Georgia, and he's got a bunch of good pieces around him yet again. He's got
both great stadiums.
What's that?
They're both great stadiums, it looks like.
Yeah, they're both state-of-the-art, beautiful stadiums that he's going to be able to play in. But yeah, I mean, I think either of those picks could be, the favorite.
I will say, in Kirk's defense, if he didn't get injured, I really thought he was going to win the MVP just because it wasn't.
Oh, I know. You were claiming it throughout the school.
But I think some national media heads were talking about it now from when I see just looking back, because the Lamar definitely wasn't certified at the time until later in the year, and Kirk Cousins was just leading the league in passing touchdowns, top in passing yards. People forget he was balling, and the Vikings were starting to win again. They were 6-4 at one point after starting off 0-3 and 1-4. So they really turned their season around. But it is what it is. Kirk, if you can just get back in, that'd be good. Coach of the year, though, speaking of this Falcons hype, I'm going with the newly hired coach, Raheem Morris. I think I wasn't sure, where to go with the sword because Andy Reid, Kyle Shanahan could arguably win the awards every season, but Bill Belichick never won a Coach of the Year award, so that goes to show you how weird this Coach of the Year award actually is. So typically, Coach of the Year is a team that missed the playoffs and kind of rejuvenates, and I think the Falcons are a team that can win 11 games. They have one of the weakest schedules in the league. They got Kirk Cousins coming in. If everything, at least clicks semi-right and they win that division, win 10, 11 games, why can't it be the new head coach, Raheem Morris? That's just the way I kind of looked at it.
Okay, I like that pick. Speaking of teams, that because like you said, they usually give it to teams where the coach kind of turns that team around. I have a newly hired coach as well. I have Jim Harbaugh coming back to the NFL, winning Coach of the Year. I think him with Herbert alone is going to be very, very good. I think they have a talented enough defense to the point where Harbaugh can work his magic because he's such a good defensive coach. We saw at Michigan. And I know he got, I believe, one of his Michigan guys in the draft. He got Joe Alt. So I think Joe Alt should be, if there's any rookie I would pick in this rookie class to go all pro in their first year, it would be Joe Alt.
Joe Alt, yeah.
I think he's a certified Hall of Famer at this point.
Yeah, could be.
With just how he looks and, how he, his demeanor and everything, he just looks like an all-pro NFL lineman. So being with Jim Harbaugh, I think is going to be perfect for him. But I think people forget, Harbaugh has turned around so many programs in, college and the NFL. The Niners weren't good before he went there, and then he turned them into a Super Bowl appearance, a Super Bowl contender. Did the same thing at Michigan. Didn't really turn them into a contender at Stanford, but turn the program around. So I think he's going to do that again with the Chargers because the Chargers have been kind of, one of the jokes of the NFL just because of their terrible coaching with Brandon Staley.
I do agree, and I love that pick. I think we both have the Chargers making the playoffs, so that could be a great pick for them. But with that being said, that does wrap up our early predictions. So we'll probably come back to this in a couple months, maybe like midway through the season, see how it's looking. Just kind of look back, see how right, how wrong we were. Let us know in the comments so what you agree and disagree with in our award ballots. And overall, we had pretty a good idea. I thought we'd have a couple right, couple slightly off, but overall, very good list from both of us. I thought. With that being said, make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace.